guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled Death of the Traditional Date. Only a third of dates now involve the man asking the woman out, paying and initiating sex, study reveals. And a big shout out to Carrie for sending me this article. And guys, this article is all about a study that was done where they had interviewed 20,000 college students, heterosexual college students, to ask about the dating scene and all that. And pretty much have been revealed, which things that didn't surprise me at all in our current culture. How, according to this, that only a third of dates involve the man initiating and asking out. Isn't that interesting? And paying, amongst many other things. Also, you're going to see here, there's other things in this, how prevalent the hookup culture has become nowadays with this particular generation, and how also some interesting statistics where how many first dates where the guy asks the gal out leads to having the SCX in the first date versus when the woman asks the dude out, what are the odds of that? And this is an example to show you just how much of an impact the feminist movement has had on all sorts of things, but particularly the dating scene, relationships, and all that. Because there was a time and place that, generally speaking, women did not ask guys out, let alone they asked them out, suggested where they go, split the bill, paid the bill, initiated sex. But now it's a lot more common, apparently, and even more than I had thought. But also showing how, essentially, and this is also, by the way, on the basis of those that are interviewed that actually go out on dates, let alone just simply the hookup culture that is in our Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 world. And also the interesting thing is about how when the woman asks the guys out, often it leads more to sex because the woman's doing it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of guys may be reading this or hearing this and say, hey, so what? Okay, it's 50-50. I'd like it if a girl asks me out. That makes it a lot easier for me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can see where you're coming from. But here's the thing I like to point out. The type of women that are going to do asking dudes out mostly, what's going to be the common trait about them? Are they going to be more likely to be more masculine or feminine? Masculine. Because your typical feminine girl, traditional, old school, the feminine ones we all like, they're not going to do that. Because it's just not going to be their way. It's not going to feel natural to them. So the more masculine girls who have been conditioned to take charge and blah, 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 they're going to be the ones asking the dudes out. Now, you can get me some darn good-looking girls that are embracing their masculine side. Let's be honest. There are some good-looking ones where you see a girl and you're like, man, she's damn good-looking. Then she opens her mouth and you realize real quick she's masculine and it's a turnoff. So some guys wouldn't care about that. But the point is, most guys aren't going to want these masculine types asking them out, let alone the feminist types. But anyhow, guys, that'd be a good one to go over here just to show you the times and how things are going and so on and so forth. And again, to no surprise, this is why a lot of young guys just simply are not interested because of these types of things. So it starts off, it says, traditionally, men have dictated proceedings during a romantic encounter, but a new study suggests this could be finally changing. Researchers in Kansas have analyzed data from a survey of more than 20,000 heterosexual college students describing their most recent date. They found that only around a third of dates, 36%, now involve the man asking the woman out, paying and then initiating sex. This is something of a traditional model of dating, but it may be getting replaced by a more equal model between the sexes, where the woman is initiating sex and even paying for dinner. Yet the academics also found that women are more likely to have you-know-what on the first date if they were the one who initiated the date. Well, that doesn't surprise me because at the end of the day, how many women will be more than happy to go on a date with a guy where she knows he's taking her to some place where he's going to buy her drinks and buy her dinner, and she has no interest in him whatsoever? Okay, I've known women that openly have admitted this. I kind of had to poke and prod to get them to admit it, but they eventually did. And I'm sure you guys have either experienced this, where it's obvious, or you knew some women that admit this. But if the woman's actually asking the dude out, then she obviously has to really like him. So it doesn't surprise me that the likelihood of, if she's doing the asking, the sex in the first date is pretty much going to happen. Aside from the fact that we're in, let's be honest, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 world, and how many young gals are professional carousel riders, so that doesn't surprise me either. It's thought that modern-day hookup culture, where people engage in sex without traditional courtship first, has broken down dating norms that have existed since the 1920s, according to the experts. Hookup culture is a culture where casual sex encounters function as part of the courtship process, said study author Sam Kendrick at the University of Kansas. In hookup culture, you don't have to go on a date or enter a relationship to have sex. The order has essentially flipped around. The classic idea of dating as part of courtship, where a dating activity such as going to the movies before any sex takes place, was born in the 1920s. Most scholarly research on young adult sexuality in the last 20 years has focused on, wait for it, hookups. Casual sex encounters not associated with traditional date. Well, this makes a lot of sense the last 20 years or so. When I was in school, before I got finished up with school, it was around 2000, 2001. And so we're 20 years later. And there was plenty of hooking up going on back when I was younger, but the way things are now, it's to a whole new level. And it's amazing hearing about this from people I know that are younger, reading about it, etc., etc. I mean, like I said, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. It says here, I feel like if sexual norms have changed that drastically, and they have, then the way the sex is initiated on dates has probably changed as well, said Kendrick. People who study dating, however, often focus on what hasn't changed. For the study, Kendrick and a colleague analyzed data from the online college social life survey, collected between 2005 and 2011 from a sample of 24,131 students across 21 higher education institutions in the U.S. Okay, so this is a lot of freaking people. And by the way, it says between 2005 and 2011. Well, things are far worse nowadays. Respondents described their most recent dates with someone that they were not in an exclusive relationship with, including who initiated it, the man or the woman paid. If both paid, if no money was spent, who initiated S-word contact, what levels of S-word contact happened, and other information. The researchers term particularly course of action that took place during a date as dating script. Among those dates following a male-initiated script, men paid and initiated most of the S-word activity on approximately 36% of the dates the author found. In other words, more than 60% of dates violate the traditional script, defined as men asking, paying, and initiating S-word activity in some way. And guys, bear with me, I got to speak in code here because this is YouTube, so anything with the word sex, I got to spell it out or speak in code is what it is. While traditional dating script says that a man asks a woman on a date and is expected to pay, 88% of respondents agreed with the statement that it's okay for a woman to ask a man on a date. Again, it depends on what she's like. But for me, I'm attracted to feminine women. Traditional, conservative, old school. Not these modern types. And a lot of the types that would confidently go ask a guy on a date are much more in touch with their masculine side. And how about you guys? But I'm completely turned off in every which way by masculine women. Even if she's good looking, even if she's got a good body. I mean, I've seen plenty of times where you see a good looking woman, pretty face, body, and then you start talking to her and it's like, whoa, shit. No thanks. It says here, however, of the dates described in the study, 89.1% were initiated by men. So this suggests that there is a discrepancy between what college students are saying and what they're doing when it comes to S-word activity on dates. Well, that's not a surprise. Researchers also found that when men initiated dates, S-word activity was more restricted than when women asked men for a date, likely because the woman wants the S-word encounter less. Well, again, like I said before, guys can ask women out on dates, and if she thinks she's getting something out of it, even if she doesn't even like the guy, first of all, it's better than being home, where she has to feel like she's a loser because she's at home on a Saturday night. But also, if she knows this guy is the type of guy that doesn't know any better, and he's going to take her to some fancy restaurant, one of the fancier steakhouses in the city or whatever, and she's going to get dinner and drinks, and she can take her pictures and put on Instagram of being out at this fancy place and brag to her friends and all that. She'll do it. And he's not even going to get a kiss. He's lucky if he gets a peck on the cheek. But again, if the woman's asking, the odds are she likes the guy enough that, to no surprise, there could be hookups. The likelihood of a hookup on that first date is much more likely. This is why I tell you guys, those of you who do dating relationships, first date, one drink. Whether it's alcohol or tea or coffee, I don't care. Do not go spending all this money on a first date because there's a strong possibility that even if she doesn't like you, she'll still go with you just to use you. So don't do that. It says here, meanwhile, in an alternate dating script, such as women initiating the date, S-word activity was found to be more common. I'm going to speak in code here. Private area contact took place on 63% of a female-initiated date compared to 56% of male-initiated dates. There you go. Of all dates with S-word activity, private area contact, a term that includes but is not limited to S-word intercourse, occurred on 56%. Although men pay for the majority of male-initiated dates, 68%, women contributed at least part of that payment on 17% of dates, and no money was spent on 15% of dates. So still the number is pretty darn low with what she is going to pay. No surprise there. I always say they're all about equality until it's time to shovel some snow, chop some wood, or pay for the dinner bill. Overall, the study shows men still initiate and pay for most dates, but the likelihood of private area contact increases whenever this transcript is violated. One limitation of the study is that data only goes up to 2011, more than a decade ago, so behaviors could now be very different. You're damn right they're more different. I mean, up to 2011, nowadays, it takes it to a whole new level, and it is even more the hookup culture, and more you could have gals asking dudes out, so it is way more nowadays. A second wave of the online college social life survey is currently ongoing, which can provide a more up-to-date snapshot. Yes, I'd like to hear that. I'll be keeping an eye out for that. The authors also point out that the data only included information on heterosexual dates, and much more research could be done on sex and dating in the LGBTQ relationships. This study has been published in the journal Sexuality and Culture. So there you go, guys. A little article there proving pretty much what is talked about quite often, not just on my channel, but also many channels as well. No surprise there. And like I said before, a lot of you may think like, hey, cool, finally let the girls ask the dudes out. And that'd be all fine and dandy if she was feminine and the type that we'd like. But to have that level of confidence and to do that type of thing, which would honestly make a lot of very feminine women just turned off by that because they feel like they're being like dudes in the situation. The ones that are going to do that are going to be the masculine ones. And last time I checked, guys don't like masculine girls. Again, there can be certain exceptions, and especially taken to a new level, the effiness ones. And I know you guys don't want any effiness asking you out because you'd be like, ugh. Anyhow, guys, a quick one here. That'd be a good article. Thanks to Carrie for sending this thing over. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, let me know. Have you ever been asked out by a woman? And the ones that asked you out, were you actually into them? Were they feminine or were they masculine? What were they like? I'd like to hear about that. How'd it go? And also, guys, you come across a really good article you'd like to share with me, something you want me to cover in this channel, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And not just articles, but also any types of stories you might find across online, or any personal stories you'd like to share about your life that you'd like some help with, some struggles you had, things you overcame. You know the type of stuff I do. Send it on over. Just give me some time to get to it, and I will. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.